Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another ranking video. Today I'll be ranking vampire TV shows that I have personally watched. Now, right off the bat, I want to say if a show that you loved that has vampires in it is not on this list, that means that I didn't watch it. So I'm not going to put it in the ranking. Also, if one of your favorite shows just happens to be at the bottom of the list, it's just my opinion. It's not that serious. With that being said, let's get into it. So this list is going to be 8 shows with vampires in it that I've watched. Coming in at number 8 is True Blood. My thoughts on the TV show True Blood. I have to say right off the bat before getting into the description of this show, I didn't like it. It's only my personal opinion though. I know this show has a huge fan base, but me personally, I just didn't enjoy it. First of all, let's talk about the overall feel of the show. In my opinion, the show feels like a vampire porn. The show seems to rely heavily on the sexualization and fetishization of vampires and just supernatural creatures in general. It's as if the showrunners were more interested in showing off the attractiveness of their characters rather than tell a compelling story. The story, or lack thereof, to be fair, I haven't seen every episode. I did watch, from start to finish. There was just certain episodes that I just kind of zoned out during, or I wasn't really into the show, so sometimes I would just skip over because it was more of I'm just gonna finish this because this was such a popular show. I watched it not when it was new; it was years after it was done. I'm like, I'm into vampire and supernatural shows, so I wanted to give it a chance. And once I started it, I did finish it. But again, I didn't watch every episode. It seemed like the creators were more interested in creating outrageous situations and cliffhangers rather than crafting well structured narrative that keeps the audience engaged. And then finally, for me, we're going to come to the most annoying part of this show the obsession with one girl. I'm talking about Sookie Stackhouse. It seems like every supernatural creature in the show is infatuated with her. And it gets old fast. It's as if the entire show just revolves around her and how just everybody wants her. And that's just not interesting, in my opinion. So that is why True Blood comes in last for me at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is Legacies. Legacies is a show that I had high hopes for from the beginning. It's a spin-off of the Vampire Diaries. It's the next generation of supernatural beings sent to a boarding house that's supposed to help them, hone in on their powers and just come into their supernatural selves easier, I guess. As a fan of the Vampire Diaries, I was intrigued by the idea of exploring the children's lives of characters that I loved. The show had a strong start, and the first season was fun and exciting. However, as the story progressed, I found myself losing interest. The characters became pretty one dimensional. The show seemed to rely heavily on the nostalgia of the previous series, the Vampire Diaries and the originals, rather than developing its own unique story. The repetition of the same storylines and the lack of character development made Legacies feel like a never ending loop. The writers added new characters, but they were underutilized, and their potential was wasted. The romantic subplots felt forced, and the show just didn't do a good job developing the relationships between the characters. And that is why Legacy comes in at number 7 on my list. Coming in at number 7 is The Vampire Diaries. Hi, Editing Wicked here. So, The Vampire Diaries is coming in at number 6, not number 7. My mistake. Carry on. The Vampire Diaries was, in the beginning, a breath of fresh air in television, especially if you're a fan of supernatural vampire TV shows. It was a gothic, melodramatic, thrilling show that captivated a lot of people. When this show first dropped, people were just obsessed, and I understand why. Now, this is another one that I didn't watch when it first came out. I watched this after it ended. I probably started this after the end, maybe a few months after it ended, the last season. The first few seasons were masterful. I thought they were very well done. I was extremely interested in, especially the first 2 seasons of Vampire Diaries. It had intricate plots, compelling characters, but unfortunately, as the show went on, it started to lose its luster. One of the biggest problems with Vampire Diaries is they became over reliant on certain characters. The show's creator, Julie Plec, stated in an interview that she became attached to characters and didn't want to write them off, even when their usefulness expired. This led to characters who started out as dynamic and interesting becoming more of background players in later seasons. This was the case with Bonnie, the witch, who was initially a crucial part to the series. I really liked Bonnie's character, and Kat Graham portrayed her wonderfully. She did a great job, but she became underutilized as the series dragged on. Another issue with the Vampire Diaries is it became muddled in its storytelling. It was always twisty and turny, but as it went on, it seemed as if the showrunners were just writing it as they went without any actual story or plot in mind for the future. This led to convoluted storylines that left viewers pretty confused and wondering what was happening, which is never a good sign. By the end of the show, it had become so bogged down by its own mythology that it became very difficult to care about the characters or storylines. They were just all over the place. The Vampire Diaries finale was a massive letdown. The show had built up to this moment for 8 seasons, and when it finally arrived, it was lackluster and disappointing. The final episode tried to tie up all the loose ends, but they did it in a way that was it felt very rushed, and it was really unsatisfying. The series deserved a much better ending after all the time and effort that was put into it. And that is why The Vampire Diaries comes in number 6 on my list. Coming in at number 5 is Supernatural. Now, I know Supernatural is definitely not considered a vampire show, but there are quite a few episodes in the show's 15-season run that have vampires in it. And I really like Supernatural, so there was no way that I could not put it on this list. So the fact that Supernatural kept fans engaged for 15 years, that by itself is just amazing. With so many seasons and episodes, it's easy to see how the show had so much time to develop the characters and all the story arcs and create a world that the fans really got lost in. Like the hype for Supernatural still hasn't died down, and it's been off for a couple of years. One of the standout parts of the show is the relationship between Sam and Dean. Their bond as brothers is something that's always been a focal point in the show and has been a driving force to all of their actions. Throughout the series, we see them go through many tough situations, but they always seem to come out on the other end. That's just the thing. It's just Sam and Dean always, no matter what the odds are against them, they always seem to win, and people love that. Brotherly dynamic is what made the show so special. Another aspect of the show that made it so great was their Monster of the Week formula. This provided a sense of structure to the story and gave the show a unique feel. Each episode had its own individual plot, but was tied together by the overarching story of the show. The addition of Castiel to the show was a game changer. His character brought a new dynamic and added an extra layer to the story. He was someone fans could root for, and his relationship with the brothers was always amazing to watch. I loved their friendship. One downside to the show was that it did drag on a bit, especially towards the end. However, this is to be expected with a show that went for 15 years. It's impressive that they were able to keep up the quality as long as they did. The ending of the show was bittersweet. It was satisfying to see everything come to a full circle, but it was disappointing to see Dean go in not a badass way, right? However, given the emotional weight of the finale, it was still fitting for the show. And that's why Supernatural comes in at number 5 on my list. Coming in at number 4 is The Originals. Honestly, The Originals is one of my all-time favorite shows. It's a spin-off of The Vampire Diaries, but it surpassed it in every way. The show started out strong and just got better with every season. One thing that made The Originals great was the character development. All of the main characters had their own unique personalities and backstories, and they really dived into all of it, which has made you actually care about the characters. Klaus, in particular, had the best character development. He started out as a murderous madman who would do anything for power, but as the show progressed, he became a likable protagonist. Another thing that I loved about The Originals was the relationship between the characters. The show had some of the best bromances and love stories I've ever seen on a show, at least on a supernatural show, we'll say. The relationship between Klaus and Elijah, his brother, one of the highlights of the show. They had a complex relationship that was both loving and competitive, which I feel like that's relatable for most brothers and siblings in general. Finally, the ending. The ending of the show was just perfect. It wrapped up all of the loose ends and gave the audience closure. I was happy to see all of my favorite characters get the endings they deserved. The ending was bittersweet, but it was also satisfying. And that's why The Originals comes in at number 4 on my list. Coming in at number 3 is Being Human, the American version. Being Human is the perfect example of how you can bring different supernatural beings together and create a wonderful storyline. The 3 main characters, Aiden, Josh, and Sally, all had their own unique traits and stories, which added depth to the plot. Aiden's character was especially intriguing. He struggled with his vampire nature and the temptation to feed on humans. The show did an excellent job showcasing the different sides of his personality and making him a relatable character. He was not just a one-dimensional monster. He had a complex backstory that helped the audience understand his struggles better. Josh was my favorite character out of the whole cast. I thought his character arc was expertly handled, and his relationship with Nora was done wonderfully. I thought their budding romance was very sweet, and both of their struggles with becoming werewolves, it just the way that they put that in with their love, it just really worked. You could tell that these writers really put time into developing the relationships between all these characters, which is something that made the show so great. Sally, the ghost in the group, also had a fascinating backstory. Her journey from being a tragic figure to a powerful ghost who takes control of her destiny was very inspiring to watch. Her connection with her friends and her willingness to do whatever it took to protect them made her a very valuable part of the group. The show's storyline was well thought out, the writing was exceptional, and I appreciated how the show tackled certain themes like addiction, love, and mortality, making it much more than a mere supernatural drama. And that is why Being Human comes in number 3 on my list. Coming in at number 2 on my list is Angel. Not many shows have been able to captivate audiences with supernatural elements and detective storytelling quite like Angel. This critically acclaimed series, a spin-off of the iconic Buffy the Vampire Slayer, stands as a testament to the brilliance of the Monster of the Week format and its portrayal of vampires. Angel's ability to seamlessly combine the Monster of the Week formula with the overarching narrative of the story was just done perfectly. Each episode shows Angel dealing with a new supernatural threat to investigate and overcome. This structure allows for a diverse range of adversaries, from demons to ancient creatures to just everything in between. Besides its thrilling monster encounters, Angel's storylines are top tier. And the characters. The show delves deep into the complexities of its protagonists, explores their struggles, redemption arcs, and moral dilemmas, which is something that audiences like because they feel like they know the character. Angel's own journey from a remorseful vampire to a champion fighting for the good is a testament to the show's depth and character development. Cordelia Chase is a fantastic example of amazing character development. She goes from a prissy, stuck-up, rich valley girl to a strong, caring member of the team. And that's just scratching the surface on her character. Now, for this one and then my number 1, I could probably do a whole separate video diving way deeper into what I love about these shows. If you guys want that video, let me know. Wesley is one of my favorites. He went from this scared, timid little watcher that ran from every problem to this tough, badass rogue demon hunter. His character just grew exceptionally well. When he leaves in the show Buffy is the last time we see him, and then when we see him in Angel and he's just so tough, it's like, who is that? That's Wesley? It was great. The saddest moment in the show, for me, in my opinion, is when Fred and Wesley are finally together. We're all so happy, right? Everyone was rooting for them. They have such a pure, real love. And then she's taken away by Ilaria. That scene was devastating. And not only is Fred gone, but this old one demon has her face still. And they just gotta, that's not Fred, but there's her body. Oh my gosh. The way that scene was shot, ugh. Fred was another character who was loved. She was so sweet, so smart, so tough, just a whole package. Angel tackles a wide range of thought-provoking themes. The show explores themes of redemption, sacrifice, love, the struggle between good and evil. It delves into the complexities of human nature and the choices that we have to make. The writing is consistently sharp, blending humor, drama, and suspense seamlessly. The cast was so talented, led by David Boreanaz, who plays Angel. All of their performances just bring the characters to life and make them relatable and compelling. And that is why Angel is number 2 on my list. Okay, and here we are at number 1, drum roll, and nobody is going to be surprised by this one, but coming in at number 1 on my list is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Clark Kent has a job. I just want to go on a date.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer stands out as a show with a remarkable example of a Monster of the Week formula. Exceptional writing and portrayal of a female protagonist have captivated audiences worldwide, and it's a personal favorite for many. As you know, it's my favorite show, so I can agree with that. The writing for Buffy the Vampire Slayer is just on another level. The show was ahead of its time. The way they crafted intricate storylines that blended supernatural elements with relatable human experiences, just chef's kiss. It was just well done all around. The writing constantly delivered engaging and unpredictable twists. The way this show makes you feel the happiness or the sadness of the character you're watching is just amazing. One of, if not the greatest strength in the show is the portrayal of the female protagonist, Buffy Summers, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar. At the time, the character shattered stereotypes and became an empowering role model for countless viewers. Buffy was not only physically strong, but also very emotionally complex, showcasing a depth rarely seen in female characters at the time and even today. Her struggles with balancing her personal life, friendships, and her destiny as a chosen slayer resonated with audiences, making her relatable and an inspiring figure, which is very important, especially with your protagonists. Buffy, they did it right. They had a female star of the show and they just did it right. The rest of the cast was exceptional. Their chemistry, I have said this before and I'll always say it, you can't replicate that. Be supernatural show, regular show, doesn't matter what type of show it is. The chemistry between that entire cast, the main cast, was just amazing. Spike, who's honestly my favorite vampire character in anything, TV, cinema, he's my favorite. His character growth was the best in the entire show. Between in the Buffyverse, between like Buffy and Angel, I'd say Spike had the best character growth. His story was handled very well. He went from a villain and one of the main antagonists in season 2 to an actual hero that, well, I mean, he pretty much saved the world. Pretty sure the world was a bit safer after that finale. The fact that he loved and cared deeply for people without even having a soul was just amazing.
Love isn't brains, children. It's blood. Blood screaming inside you to work its will. I may be love's bitch, but at least I'm man enough to admit it.
Especially in the Buffyverse, where it shows multiple times that once you become a vampire, you're just a soulless demon. Even Angel, who has a soul put in him magically, which is a punishment so that he suffers for eternity thinking about everything that he's done wrong, he is only good because of the soul. Without it, he was one of the most wretched, terrible villains in the entire world. Spike is shown to be the only vampire on the show that actually shows love and compassion for people. Then he has a soul put in on purpose because he wants to be punished for his evil doings. There's so much depth to Spike. Such a wonderful character. I love Willow and Xander. I mean, how could you not love Willow and Xander? Xander's the only one who remains human. He ends up just completely staying human. No powers, nothing supernatural to offer. But he proves time and time again that he's a very important part to the group. He's like the rock. Willow's story is amazing, going from timid, shy bookworm to powerful witch. She's a caring, loving person who would do anything for her loved ones. After Tara dies, she snaps. And still, you understand and feel for her in that moment, even though she temporarily becomes the antagonist of that season. But it's so hard to be upset when she turns into that evil person because you love Willow, the character. Buffy the Vampire Slayer also tackled important social issues through its storytelling. The show fearlessly explored themes of identity and the complexities of teenage life. It addressed topics such as consent, sexuality, the consequences of power. By intertwining these themes with the supernatural elements, the show managed to engage viewers on multiple levels, making it more than just a typical Monster of the Week series. This show's impact on popular culture cannot be overstated. It paved the way for future shows to feature strong female leads and complex storytelling. For me, Buffy's just a very important show. In my opinion, I'm not sure that there will ever be another show quite like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The depth of all the characters, the fact that the lead was a female, but she had her flaws. It's so important for that. Nowadays, especially, we see so many shows and movies where it just seems like the lead, whether it be a female or male, but especially when it's a female, there's just no flaws. They're perfect. They're strong. They're just crushing it. Buffy showed a relatable side for people, for viewers, and that's what we need. We need more of that. And that's a big reason why Buffy will always probably be my favorite show. I don't think there's going to be a show that tops it. And that among a million other reasons. As I said, number 2, when I was talking about Angel and Buffy I love both of these shows very much. So I could dive deeper I would have to do a whole video just on these 2 alone, because if I really deep dive into what I love about these 2 series, this video will be an hour long. So, if you guys would like to see a Buffy and Angel video in the future, let me know. I would be more than happy to make it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're interested in another ranking video, I ranked all of the Evil Dead movies and I will have it linked down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.